and welcome to Jedi and the Mailman, the show where two old friends aim to deliver the spookiest Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman. That's Jimmy, the old guy Jedi. And Jimmy, have you heard about this Explore the Force podcast?
No, I haven't.
It is
Tell me
awesome.
about it.
I listened to it today. There's these two really cool dudes who just give you all the latest Star Wars news in the galaxy. And then they bring on another really cool dude and they talk all about the newest Star Wars show that's coming out, this Skeleton Crew. You should really check it out.
I will have to do that soon. So, I heard that the one host has a face for radio.
I haven't seen pictures of them all, but yeah, it could be the case.
He might be the scariest thing in Star Wars. So, oh man, I want to apologize right now to anybody. We are having some severe winds and like crazy weather here, and like my internet's already kind of going wonky. So, just if something happens, it's not me.
Blame it on the season.
Blame it on the season because we're definitely getting spooky Halloween weather. This last couple of days, it's been nuts. 50-mile-per-hour winds. I mean, we went outside just before I came on air to walk the dogs. Big tree limbs from our neighbors down in the yard and stuff. So, a little bit bonkers.
Yeah, I get worried every time it gets windy around here because I got trees all around me. And the guys told me when we built this place, you should probably clear some more of those trees. I'm like, no, I like the shade. Then when you sit out there and the wind's really blowing and you see the trees are swaying, yeah, I should listen to that guy.
Yeah, Imperial activities in the house.
Woohoo!
All right. We got Brooke and Isaac over on Instagram. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yes.
So, Mike, how's your week been?
Oh, busy. Like it's been for the past few weeks, months, whatever. Just working lots of overtime. Not sleeping a whole lot. Had to stay up real late last night to ensure that our Steelers could pull out the victory. But yeah, just tired.
Yeah, I get that. About the same. Cross country's winding down. We'll take Lucas to state this weekend. I get supposedly 2 weeks off, but I've already been doing stuff for swim, and then swim season starts, and I'm up at 4:40 for the rest of the school year. So
yeah,
super excited.
The seasons never really end, do they?
No, it just kind of blur into one another. But
no.
But yeah, but other than that, pretty good. I'm excited to talk some Star Wars. Quit worrying about the real world for a while.
Yeah.
Who's here? Let's go, bros. Good morning from the future. Yeah. So, I mean, it's Wednesday there for him, Wednesday morning. So very cool. But Mike, why don't you tell everybody what we're talking about today?
Well, it is Halloween week, the spookiest time of year. So we decided to try to link up our topic with the season. So we're going to talk about some of the scary things or spooky things in Star Wars. Some of it's a little cheeky, sort of just good fun. But we're just going to kind of run down. We have a couple of different categories of things we want to talk about and, go back and forth. And we appreciate you guys chiming in. Let us know when we give you these categories, chime in with your top spookies and kind of go from there.
Yeah, we got some stuff from Facebook too. Don't let me forget to read that off today.
Okay.
Let some people reach out, so it'll be good. But what Imperial say here says Jimmy brings up the current weather conditions after he mentioned on the main not having seen twisters because of his own current location. Yeah, coincidence? Yeah, not good timing, man. So Dadalorian says Abeloth is top tier scary over there on Instagram. Project Blackwing. Yeah, Dadalorian, do you think we're going to see Abeloth in Ahsoka season 2? Everyone thinks that's what Balin is being drawn to. I'll be curious. I think we're all kind of eagerly waiting to see where that goes. But Mike, what's our first category?
Our first category is the creatures of Star Wars. Star Wars has
Yes.
lots of awesome, crazy creatures, and you know, it's hard to say they're spooky. It's hard to get scared of a puppet or a model, but there's a lot of cool things within the Star Wars galaxy. And when you're a kid, some of these things might be a little spooky to you. So we're going to kind of run down some of our favorites and just kind of talk about them.
All right. If I can get this to work. This happened to me on the main show this weekend. Um, I can't remove stuff from our screens for some reason, but yeah, all right. So StarWars.com has a list of 20 of the creepiest Star Wars creatures. We'll kind of go over that, maybe add some things. Um, Give me 1 second here, because you know how I am with it'd be terrible. I'm more of a Han Solo than I am a Scotty or a Mr.
Mhm.
Mr. Sulu or whatever. Like
Just
I could
hit it
never
really
fit,
hard.
I would never fit into the Star Trek universe because I'm not smooth enough.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm more of a Han Solo, smack it and make it work kind
Mhm.
of thing. So, but here we go. So there's that. All right. So here's the article. I apologize for the stuff on the screen. So 20 of the creepiest Star Wars creatures. All right. So we got from Empire Strikes Back. We got the space slug, Exogorth. What do you think of the Exogorth?
Was this thing ever scary to you? Watching the
Knowing it's a
movies.
guy's hand in a sock just kind
No.
of doesn't really do it for me.
It's
So
I try to put myself back into the little kid frame of mind and try to think back if, first viewings and whatnot, what did I think about these creatures and whatnot. But man, I can't remember yesterday. So sometimes it's really hard to go back. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever had that fear of, kind of the Jonah and the whale thing being swallowed by something, you know, much larger than you and not being able to get out? I suppose if you've had that fear, that creature might be a little spookier to you, but
yeah, I'm trying to think of anything in Star Wars that we'll get to a couple of things here at the end, but I don't know if any creatures have really ever wigged me out as far as
yeah.
I think this next guy's pretty cool looking too. The Sando Aqua Monster. Right, there's always a bigger fish.
What's he from?
This is from the Phantom Menace when they're going uh,
Hmm,
through the planet core to get to
okay.
the capital city from Gungan City. They're trying to get up to
Right.
the Queen, and this is one of the things that comes out and tries to eat them, and then something eats it, and then it just
Right.
continues to always be a bigger fish
Hmm.
until, eventually there's not going to be a bigger fish because you're the biggest fish.
Right.
But, you know,
So
so
our first time seeing this guy, we were both in our 20s, so nothing was scaring us, right? So
now I was
he's
like,
no
oh, that's
big
cool
deal.
looking. I'll have to admit to this thing, I don't know what it is. It's from Star Wars Resistance, the big giant
Mm,
sea monster.
yep.
The thing scary about anything from Resistance is probably the dialogue. It's not meant for. I don't really think it's meant for adults. I think kids enjoyed it. I know my nephews kind of watched a couple episodes and they thought it was pretty silly. A lot of falling
Yeah.
around and gadzooks going on, but um,
Yeah, I've never watched it.
I'm trying to get myself to do it, but I haven't been able to yet. Data Lawrence says Ewoks when the sun goes down. Yeah, I think he's making a reference to the Ewok hunt on Battlefront 2,
Mm.
and real creepy. You can hear the drums, and you can hear them like calling in the night, and then the Ewoks are like coming after you.
That
So
sounds pretty cool.
here we go. This one's a little scary. The Wampa.
Yes.
Um,
Now
yeah,
I'll be on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think this guy's scary. I think
Yeah.
that the tension of it coming towards Luke was
Hmm.
scary. I'm not sure
Yeah.
like the monster itself, but especially after you see, Yukon Cornelius take all the teeth out of the Yeti
Yeah.
in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's stop motion movie. So you're like, oh,
Yeah.
just take out his teeth, he'll be fine.
Yeah. I was kind of coming from the same angle as you with this guy. I mean, he is a little scarier design and whatnot, but I don't like. I was thinking about this guy earlier. I don't know that if I don't know if I was scared of him when I was a kid, but just thinking about the idea of being trapped, Luke's frozen to the ceiling, can't move, and if he doesn't have the force, like that is a scary situation when
Yeah.
some sort of monster is about to eat you and you have no way of defending yourself. So yeah, that's a little scary.
There was a scene that was taken out where like the Wampas were in this planet in the battle station and
Hmm.
the rebel station, and they like get out, and I think it's more of um, the Imperials that get attacked. But there's always been a lot of talk online too. I've seen that like if people want a scary Star Wars movie, and that's one
Hmm.
that people always go to is like have them go back to like right before Empire Strikes Back starts and have them setting up the base on the Hoth planet
Hmm.
and like
Hmm.
having to get rid of all the Wampas and things like that are in that
Yeah,
station. Like that'd be pretty cool. That could be
that would
scary.
be. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, Tahu says polar bear Bigfoot hybrid. Yeah, sure. Minox are gross. That kind of scared me. That when it first hits the screen,
Mm.
we got a lot of
Yeah, it's a
Empire.
good jump scare. Yeah,
I mean, probably like this milky looking substance here. That's a little gross.
yeah,
So, um, the crate dragon from Mando season 2, I believe. I just thought that thing was cool looking.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of dragons. I got dragons tattooed on my body. I love one of my artistic endeavors, drawing dragons and stuff like that. So I love dragons of all different sort. So yeah, more of a cool creature than a scary creature in my point of view. But
Yeah, I don't really consider the crate dragon a dragon in the state in the
well,
sense
yeah,
that
yeah,
what we
not
think
not
of
your typical
dragons. I mean,
medieval dragon or anything, but
yeah,
no.
one of the reasons I love like Game of Thrones. I know people weren't real happy with what's the sequel House of Dragons.
Yeah, yeah,
But man, I don't care the bad, the good, whatever. Like those dragons are amazing.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, we covered this before. Like dragon technology is where it needs to be. Somebody needs to get a live action Dragonlance show going out there.
Well, that's what I'm kind of hoping for with at the end of Mando season 3 they have the mythosaur. So I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go, Game of Thrones, Star Wars style, big mythosaurs, big dragons, scary monsters. They're gonna have this big, big dragon with like the tusk
Hmm.
and all that stuff, and the bounty hunter guild. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really scared of the Krayt dragon. I thought it was kind of cool. I just thought of the TV or the movie Tremors, like
Oh
Kevin
yeah.
Bacon, and
Hmm.
so we had the Acklay from Attack of the Clones. I didn't think any of those creatures were scary.
No,
I
just something
mean,
about the technology at that time. You really couldn't.
now this I think is pretty gross. The Sarlacc, um, the concept of being digested over 1,000 years or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and those arms coming out and pulling you in. I think it was scarier before they put the mouth in there, like
Yeah,
before the
the
what they
beak or
call it.
whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree. That was not a great addition with the special editions.
no.
But
So I don't think that's too scary at all. The
no, because
Dianoga,
if you just avoid the area, you're never going to fall into the Sarlacc pit.
yeah, like how does I mean, unless you're walking at nighttime, how do you avoid a
Right.
big giant mouth in the middle of the sand? Like, oh, what's down there? The little, I don't know,
Hmm.
not,
Just stay away from that area.
yeah. Now this guy might get you if you're playing around the trash.
Oh yeah.
The Dianoga, that's the thing that's
Hmm.
going to grab Luke and the original and just disappears. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that he. I mean, once again, the situation that they were put in there, the desperate situation, it, the fact that they were going to get crushed is probably a little more scary than the creature. But
Yeah.
I guess if you put yourself in that situation where there's something under the water, if you're scared of
Oh
water,
yeah.
especially, and you don't know what it is, and drag someone underneath, yeah, I suppose that could be pretty scary.
The Dadalorian says, or I'll just bring it up. He found us on YouTube. I think we lag really badly on Instagram. I think we're
Mm.
like 10 to 15 seconds behind. I know that. I'm not sure why it's so wonky, but Yeah, he says that, and he's talking about the
The Sarlacc.
Sarlacc. So, I mean,
Mhm.
that's terrifying. If those things can move around
Yeah.
on the ground and just open up wherever, yeah, that'd be
Mhm.
upsetting. So,
Yeah, what if you have a little community and, the Sarlacc's 100 miles away and every day it's getting a little bit closer?
uh, yeah, that would be all right. Ugh. So, all right, the Rancor.
Oh,
Mike and I saw this as our first Star Wars experience in the theater
mhm.
with my dad. Um, but
You know,
scary.
uh, I don't there's something about, like, the Jabba's trap, his trap door that drops you down in with the Rancor. Like, trap doors were a big thing when we were kids, you know? Like,
Yeah.
we try to create trap doors in tree houses, and they played a big part in a lot of shows and stuff like that. But I'll tell you what, the Rancors that scare me are in Jedi Survivor. When I come across them, I don't know why. Like, the big creatures, I don't wanna go against them. I take the, Monty Python route and run away, run
Run
away.
away! Oh my gosh. HD trap. I'm not sure I know what you mean, Tahu. Am I missing something?
Hmm.
What'd you say? Oh, we had
Oh,
trapdoor spiders.
oh,
Oh,
yes, yes, yes.
no, thank you.
No, you got
Ugh.
too many spiders down there, man.
Yeah. Yikes. I know that on our Facebook page, we have a Explore the Forest Facebook page. You got to ask to join it because we're trying to keep out knuckleheads.
Mhm.
You had to say like, "Hey, I'll join it. I won't be a jerk." And then as soon as you're a jerk, we throw you out. Um, you can have any opinion. Like we've got people all over the map when it comes to like, Acolyte was pretty, everyone loved it, so we didn't have anything to worry about. Surprisingly, some people really argued and got into some arguments. As long as
Mhm.
you were civil, we don't throw anybody out anywhere. So, um, where would we see? Oh, Big Ed Friday says for me, seeing the Rancor biting the head off the Gamorrean guard. Now that would have been scary unless you were sitting by my father, because
Yeah.
it sounds like it's eating celery. I can remember him saying that and just laughing. And I'm like, am I not supposed to be scared?
Yeah, I
So,
think I don't Jimmy's dad is a large man, uh, and he's the kind of guy you feel safe with. So,
hmm
having someone like that poking fun at what you're watching, you kind of just meld in. Oh, if he thinks it's fun, this must be fun.
yeah, I mean, for sure. Dad Lawrence says, I live in Florida. Everything is scary. Well, yeah, your weather is scary. Your alligators are scary.
The
Goodness
people are the
gracious.
worst.
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah, but I mean, I can imagine, like, I don't know. They've kind of, maybe this is the book of Boba Fett's fault, but like he's sitting in here riding it, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like
Yeah.
he's riding a Rancor, and they kind of made him look like, even if you think about how like when it ends, and was it Maliki or whatever, the animal tamer that's crying whenever he gets killed because it's like his puppy dog or whatever,
Mhm.
kind of like Hagrid. This thing's kind of cool and terrifying. This is going to be the Suma Verminoth. This is
Mhm. Mhm.
a creature at the end of Solo when he's
Mhm.
going through making the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, if you round
Yeah.
down, um, or under 13 parsecs if you round down. But um, that thing was pretty scary until, and it has like the skin ripped off of it by the black hole and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty gnarly stuff. But um,
I guess to me, it's a creature in a situation you're never going to encounter. So it's you can't even put yourself in that position. So it's kind of loses its fright.
yeah, these things are creepy though. What's Data
Mm.
Lawrence say? He says, I wish we'd have saw more of that one. Yeah, that would have been cool. These are the little the assassin Sam Wessel puts him in there, and they try to like go
Mhm.
in there, going to sting Padme and kill her. That
Mhm.
scene kind of freaked me out a little bit. I mean, again, we were in our 20s or whatever.
Right.
Um, so I mean, it wasn't like it was super scary, but I bet you as a little kid, that has to be scary. Those
Yeah,
little
it's like
things
the
slithering,
scorpion in the
smiling.
bed. You know.
So yeah, Tahu can tell us about that. scorpions and all that good stuff. This one's pretty gross.
Oh, the
The
brainworms.
Geonosian brainworms. That is scary. That whole
Yeah.
arc freaks me
Mhm.
out. I was just looking before we got on tonight. I was going through Facebook, and I'm part of like a million different Star Wars groups on Facebook, and I'm not sure why, because most of the time people say real dumb things and just annoy me. But one of them was, the cartoons are trash, nothing good on these things. And I was like, well, we're about to talk about this. And this was like a scary, like, I might be more afraid and freaked out by this animated series, just this whole brainworms thing, than
Mhm.
anything else that we're going to talk about tonight. This was a gross, scary.
Yeah. It's a nice little horror clip, you know what I mean? Like the arc
Yeah.
of it. It's a good sort of rewatch for this time of year.
Yeah. That was Clone Wars was a legacy of terror and brain invaders. That's back when they were on Geonosis.
Mhm.
Zillow Beast. I
Yeah,
don't know if that was really scary.
not really.
I mean,
Kinda cool.
destructive,
Mhm.
but in the end of like Bad Batch, helpful.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like an electric
Rathtars.
Godzilla.
Yeah. What about Rathtars?
Yeah, I mean, there's always lots of talk about the Rathars and how vicious and scary they are. And I mean, it is quite the concoction of teeth and tentacles, and you know, it is a freaky little thing. But I could see how it could scare someone.
Tahu says brainworm. Yeah, nah. Makes your brain itch. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
gross. Data Lauren says Clone Wars was a kid's show with horror, war crimes, and treason. Oh yeah, everything young kid
Uh
needs
huh.
growing up. But yeah, I mean, I was like, I was gonna respond, and I started reading the comments. People were just roasting this fool. So I was like, all right, I'll just leave it.
They took
But
care of it.
the Rathtars would be scarier, but like the scene that they're in is funny in The Force
Mhm.
Awakens, right? I mean, it's kind of like it's humorous, like people are getting grabbed, and it's like it's not
Yeah.
scary. It's kind of funny because Ray and Finn are like crawling, and then there's another there's that they're used a couple times in the High Republic where they end up
Mhm.
helping, or one of the kids can like control them and all these different things. So they've never been like a real threat. I mean, they do kind of set Buryaga up for some trouble later
Mhm.
on in the ends of towards the end of phase one. But now this guy, yeah, this one's for you, Tahu. I hope you never see one of these things down there.
The ice
The Ice
spiders.
Spider.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about when you first saw this scene?
I mean, spiders. I mean, a big, crazy looking spider is always a little bit scary, a little bit bone chilling. You know, you have like in Lord of the Rings, there's a big tradition with the spiders, but
Oh,
the same sort of thing here. But you know, it goes to another level when you talk about a swarm. When
oh
it's more
yeah,
than just the one big spider, it's the spider swarm. Like,
like in Harry
you know,
Potter.
yeah,
Oh,
like you might be able to fend off the one spider, the big giant spider, if you had some sort of stick or a lightsaber or something like that.
yeah,
But
big
when
ass
you're just
stick.
being swarmed by those little things, you're just done, man.
Yeah. That scene is creepy. When Grogu's there, it was like eating them or whatever, and then they start hatching, kind of like something out of the TV show Alien, and then all hell breaks loose.
Hmm.
So, all right, we got some people over here. Grace Golf is here. Nelly Cosplay says, I mean, Rancors are also scary. Yeah. Clan Brandon Lawrence says, yo. Wampas and their non-snow counterparts, the one in Jedi. Oh yeah, what are they called in Jedi? They're not called Wampas.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's another one of those big crazy creatures though that I always run away from until I
Yeah.
adjust the difficulty settings.
Oh man, yeah. Nelly cosplay says the weird spider things in Rebels. Oh, you mean like on that planet where the Bendu's at? They kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
force.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are a little
Yeah,
bit
those are
wonky.
creepy too until they realized how
Um,
to.
yeah, the Frinnock. These was um those things that Ezra ends up controlling a little bit. I think.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
He comes up in that real big giant one or whatever.
Hmm.
They think so. That one's. I can't even tell what that is. Like I can't see. It's so dark that I can't really see.
Yeah.
Rishi L is a batch of shinies, inexperienced clone troopers who meet the Clone Wars episode rookies have to deal with more than their fair share of obstacles, including the terrifying creature sorts. Fending
I
off a
don't remember
surprise
that.
attack, the Rishi Moon. Yeah, I don't remember that one. The Vexus. It's scary looking, but
Yeah.
then Ray heals it, and it's like her new best friend. I mean, that's it.
Hmm.
I think sometimes too. Like, is that Star Wars is for kids?
Hmm.
So and they don't want to give. They don't want to do anything that's going to like terrify the kids or whatever. But like this thing looks pretty terrifying.
Right.
But then she heals it, and it's all like, oh, thanks. I mean, it kind of takes the teeth out of it, doesn't it?
Right. It really does. Oh, maybe they're trying to teach the kids a lesson that, just because it looks scary, it doesn't mean, you know, I don't know. Some people like
Don't judge a book by
tarantulas.
its cover, kids. That's what
Right.
George and everyone's trying to teach us, I guess.
Hmm.
So, so the Vexus, we have the Erling. I don't know what the heck that thing's supposed to be on Ord Mantell. It's those insects in that dark area. Yeah, those were kind of creepy. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like if you had to pick one thing on there that was the scariest out of all 20 of those, what are you picking, Mike?
I, I think the spiders, the ice spiders, just I mean, me, myself today being swarmed by spiders,
Ah,
that's a pretty scary scenario.
yeah, I would not. Yeah. Ugh.
Which
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
some of these creatures too, if they were presented in a different context, you know, if they were put forward in a horror context, you might have a different feeling about them. But like you
Do
said,
you
there's
think
so many of them are just kind of funny and cool looking, and you know,
do you think there's room? Because you know how like Marvel's doing like different things with their cat, with their shows and their different like genres almost. Do you think there's
hmm
room for like a scary Star Wars TV show or movie? Like, do you
absolutely.
think there's like, I mean, Star Wars can't do anything one off, it seems like, but wouldn't it? I mean, I feel like if you do something to the level of like A Quiet Place,
Hmm.
or I'm trying to think of like I don't do scary movies,
Neither
but
do
like
I.
there's some that intrigue me.
Hmm.
If I as a PG-13, like I don't think gross has a place in Star Wars. Like that's not really a Star Wars thing,
Not
but like
necessarily.
you
Yeah.
see like the brainworms, like
Hmm.
live action version of that, or
Hmm.
I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
think
for
it could
sure.
work.
I would love to see Star Wars delve into different genres. It's always intriguing. Like you said, I don't seek out horror. I hate campy horror stuff. It's just silly to me. I don't enjoy it. But there is ones like you said, like Quiet Place and things like that that might be considered horror that I'll check out because it's at a different level. You know what I mean? And I think it could be really intriguing for Star Wars to delve into some of these different avenues and put forth different sort of things. I mean, make more stuff for more different people. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. You know, get different genres out there, and I think it would work. I've always kind of just kind of popped into my head, but like I'd love to see a cop show like on Coruscant,
Yeah. Hmm.
or just it don't have to be Jedi. Like every once in a while, Jedi could be involved or something, but
Hmm.
you could do so much with. Oh, it'd be crazy.
Yeah, and they
Um,
do a little bit of that in the animation. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But yeah, it would be good to see in live action. Taken real seriously. They could make, like I said, I say it all the time. It's a big sandbox. You can play with all your toys in there.
yeah. So, are there any creatures on here that you feel that we missed?
I don't think so. I think everything that all the little examples that I gave you earlier, I think they were all touched on in that. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing that's jumping out to me like as a glaring omission.
All right. And then we've got so next we have, according to um, StarWars.com, 13 of the scariest Star Wars scenes. So this one should be good. Let me see if I can mess up this transition real quick, as I like to do. Here we go. 13 scariest. Open that up. We're going to take that down, maybe. And we'll go back to this. And let me see anyone says anything on any of the areas. Nope, we're good there. So here we go. 13 scariest Star Wars scenes. This was written by Dan Brooks, October 31st, 2023. So it's a little bit older, but here we go. Dance with the Dianoga. Some of these are kind of tied into some of the creatures.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. What do you thought? What were your thoughts on this scene? I mean, we saw this as we were younger when we saw this. So,
Mhm,
I mean, I think, like you said earlier, it's more the idea of like the being compacted. But
mhm.
I don't know. What do you think? You think this is a scary one?
I mean, like I said earlier too, if you're scared of the water and scared of the things that are in the water, like I don't, you know, we grew up in real rural area, swim in places where, you know, God knows what was below the surface, and it never really phased us. But I know a lot of people that are scared to death to go into any water that they can't see the bottom of.
Well,
So,
yeah, I'll tell you, like, you guys, everyone who doesn't know, Mike and I grew up right down the road from each other, been best friends since forever, it seems like.
mhm,
And we did these swimming holes and stuff, and it's like 12 feet and you can see all the way to the bottom. But out
mhm,
here in Kansas, you
yeah,
can't see anything because there's no elevation, so there's no like moving water.
right,
And like people out here are like afraid of the water because you can't see. And I
yeah,
know like one time we did this triathlon and there was a body that was missing
mm,
in the same lake. I mean, this is a massive lake, so the chances of
yeah.
it being anywhere, but every time you touch something on the bottom of the
You
water, because
thought
it
it was
wasn't
that
real deep,
body?
holy crap! Like I just touched a dead body. So
Yeah, yeah, I
Hero
totally get
Activity
that.
says, I don't do scary films neither. Outside of Star Wars, maybe Starship Troopers takes the cake for me. Yeah. What does Tahu say? Trash compactor for sure. I mean, Han and Leia calling for Luke was the drowning made me not want to swim in the river. I can believe that. Yes, I mean
Yeah,
there are some parts to that. I think altogether it makes it a pretty scary scene.
yeah,
So again, the Minoc. I mean, some of these seems like they're just kind of tied to the.
the creature, yeah. Like I said, that was a good jump scare when it first, thudded against the window. Uh, but
Yeah.
they went out into it, and it wasn't a big deal. I don't know, not all that scary.
Oh, what's Molly Adams, the beautiful and wise Molly Adams says being in a pit with a rancor is scary. I hope she's not talking about me. So, yeah, and I guess like Chewie gets hit with them and he kind of freaks out a little bit. But I mean, that's the scariest part is when it lands on there and scares Princess Leia. I don't
Mhm.
know why this scene is on here. We would be honored if you joined us. Scene. I guess maybe it's like
Somewhat ominous, maybe, but yeah, I wouldn't call it
his Star
scary.
Wars. Yeah, yeah. I don't. I've been racking my brain today for stuff, and now this scene.
Oh
This
yeah, yeah.
scene, I still get the heebie-jeebies when I watch it. How
Mhm.
how do you feel about the cave, the Dagobah
Oh,
cave?
this when you're talking about scary Star Wars moments, this one, I mean, has to take the cake. And just Yoda before he goes in there, he's like, "I'm not scared." Oh, you will be. You will be.
Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
I
Yoda
I
takes
still
such a turn there, like so serious, so ominous, and then everything that goes on in the cave. Yeah.
yeah, and then the whole like seeing his own face, and I mean, I
Hmm.
don't think I understood that as a kid what was happening
No, no, but it was
until much
certainly
much later. But
certainly creepy.
yeah, that gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
Hmm. I don't know how this is
Because,
number 4.
yeah,
There
the
we got the
Rancor.
Rancor again. Rancor
So,
again. Why is it on there twice?
well, that's the maybe they wrote maybe he wrote the first one too at the same time.
Mm,
This is like a Halloween double, but yeah, we got the Rancor again. That's that whole scene. Again, I don't really think it's scary.
no.
how about the turn Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith when Mace Windu gets popped?
Mm. I mean, it's I don't know. I wouldn't call it scary.
I mean, it's scary for the story.
Ah, yeah,
The end of Anakin.
yeah. I mean, when he's laying there burning, yeah, cut the ribbons and on fire. That's that's scary and creepy.
Ooh. Yeah, this one just gives me the like
Oh
this
yeah,
has
the
to probably be the
brainworms again.
scariest. Yeah, Attack of the Brainworms.
Hmm.
That's who are that's right after her and Barris get like rescued. So you're like, oh, everything's happy and exciting again. And
Hmm.
then boom.
Tries to infect her with a brainworm.
Ugh. Should have known right there she was trouble. Imperial Active says a journey into the Force Cave would be different for each of us, depending on what we took in, whether physical or mental. Yeah, it kind of reminds me in a silly way of the was it the Bogart in Harry Potter? Like every time it opens up, everyone sees what they're afraid of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that would be. I mean, it wouldn't obviously be funny, but kind of like
It could be.
whatever you need to learn would be in that cave.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Maybe you need
but
to learn how to be funny. Then it could
yeah,
be funny.
maybe. This is a good one. The Night Sister Spirit Attack. This
Oh
is when they
yeah.
start to find the dark saber, I believe, and
Hmm.
um, I think was it who gets is it Kanan and Ezra? Who gets put under the spell? All right, even in death, Night Sisters wield great power and visions and voices from season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. Kanan, Ezra, and Sabine encounter the green-hued spirits of Dathomir's famous witches. They swirl and swarm with wicked glee, eventually possessing Kanan and Sabine. This is a Night Sisters creepy and mysterious. Yeah, I think um, that one's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you're talking about possession, people being taken over by something else, that always leans into the realm of creepy.
Yeah.
I
Hopefully, we'll
think.
get more of the Night Sisters with
Yeah, I
circa
was gonna
season
say.
2 and
Yeah, the Night Sisters in Clone Wars. I thought that was maybe a little more creepy than in Rebels too. I mean, like I said, possession's always creepy, but in Night Sisters in the uh, Clone Wars arc, you had the zombies, the dead coming back to life, and
yeah.
that's always good for a little horror.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Night Sisters are a weird one. Like scary. They have some moments, that they bring the dead to life. They try to fight off Grievous and some things, and then Mother
Mhm.
Talzin, she straight up sucks towards the end of Clone Wars. And good thing Darth Jar Jar's there to, save the sweet lady. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely think that the zombies are always, to me, a little more scary than a spirit. S-
yeah,
The Rathars and the Force Awakens, like you said, more funny than scary
yeah.
almost.
It's more of a comedy, I think.
Hmm.
Anyone have kids out there that watched this when it came out and that were young? Let us know if that scared them. Yeah, here we go. This one got some play
Oh
on our.
God, yeah.
I like the. I'm trying to bring up the Facebook post here. I think Joe. Um, she said something on here. Let me see if I can find it wherever I need it. Joe Overton Pin said, honestly, as a 6-year-old girl, Darth Vader's first appearance, um, dark, brooding, and deadly, terrifying. Yeah, Vader is scary. Someone else said something. I know Dagobah Cave. Daniel Ward says Dagobah Cave was the creepiest for me when I was a kid. I get
Hmm.
it. Um, I could have sworn someone. Oh yeah, uh, Jack actually said exactly this. You imagine your first experience of him being the end of Rogue One. Yeah, like if you didn't know who Vader
Yeah.
was until then, I mean, you're like, who in the beep is this guy? Like slicing
Hmm.
fools up, and the absolute terror on the faces of those rebel,
Yeah.
you know, um, soldiers. I mean, they're
Yeah.
freaking out. I mean, you can feel their. This is
Hmm.
scary. This is a scary. I mean, it's an amazing and awesome scene. And it's what like I mean, it set a tone for Star Wars that I don't know if they've
Yeah.
pretty in, but um, yeah,
Yeah.
this
That scene
scene is
just laying waste, and like you said, with the the rebel soldiers. Like, you put yourself into, one of the scenes from like a World War II movie where, the guys are scared, they're shooting back and forth at one another. You have a chance to survive that. Like this, Vader's coming, and you see him just laying waste to everyone. It doesn't matter. You have a blaster in your hand. You stand no chance. You're dead. You're just waiting to
He's
die.
you're
That's
just
scary.
yeah, that's yeah, you put that excellent. Like you're just waiting for it to be the end. And then like that guy, he gets up on the because he slams that guy up top and he's like killing
Uh-huh.
fools. And if you don't, and I don't know if it was like the second or third viewing of Rogue One till I caught that he brings his lightsaber up and around and slices that guy across the
Oh,
stomach. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, like just unleashes
Mhm.
hell on him. We got the Ice Spider Swarm. There we go. This is
Mhm.
for you, Tahu. Um, yeah, this scene kind of creeped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
It is a weird thing too because you have like the frog lady and all her eggs are in the hot water and everyone's relaxing and it's kind of awkward if you're being honest. Some awkward stuff happening in that episode of Mandalorian, but then all of a sudden that big comes running up
Mhm.
and just I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty scary.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the swarm aspect of it. That's scary.
And, and the number one is your favorites, the
Yeah,
zombies.
okay. There
I'm
we go.
talking
Yeah. Well, this is from
so
Ahsoka, but still, yeah,
yeah.
zombies. Yes. Zombies are creepy.
Yeah, like this was yeah, it was really weird to me that yeah, this scene it was something different in Star Wars. I thought these actors did a really great job of bringing these like zombie
Stormtroopers to
stormtroopers to
life.
life. But
Mhm.
imagine just you're sitting there and even you've got what three, two and a half Jedi,
Yeah.
2.25 Jedi because Sabine's just kind of getting
Yeah.
her footing. But I mean, she's a Mandalorian, so she's an adversary, a worthy
Mhm.
opponent to have on your side. But or you know, um, but if these things don't die,
Right.
it's kind of like the Vader scene where like you're just fighting until you
Mhm.
can't fight anymore. But
Mhm.
this would be scary, like in being in it, like you said. I don't know if any of this stuff is like super scary.
To watch,
The
yeah.
Dagobah cave again gives me the heebie-jeebies and the
Mhm.
brainworms, but I don't know.
Yeah, you kinda have to put yourself in a position, and you think about being there, and, yeah, it could get a little hairy.
So
There were some good ones on there. I
yeah,
I'm not I don't I think they should have put it in ranked order, and some of those things should have been more closer to the top, but, you know,
yeah,
all in
maybe
all, some good stuff.
yeah. Here we go. What's Tao say? Is that why they had the red ribbons bandages because they were zombies? See, I was wondering like if they were already kind of this is the thing about that whole situation. I know we had to suspend belief because it's Star Wars, but if you remember the end of Rebels, the Purgles are smashing through the windows, everything's getting
Mhm.
broke, and then the next thing you know, they get zipped off uh, into
Hyperspace.
hyperspace and taken to Peridia, which we obviously we don't know that till years later
Mhm.
um, with that. But is how did anyone who wasn't like in an airlock or something
Yeah,
how did they
survive it all.
survive?
Mhm.
So are like that's a good point, Tyler. And I kind of wondered that myself because even the night troopers or the death troopers that they had to fight, they're already
Mhm.
zombies.
Yeah.
Um, before, I mean, the first time they fight them. So yeah, I kind of wondered that. I mean, it's Star Wars. You just kind of roll with it. But um, I thought, I mean, I always kind of wondered that about it. There's so much going on in Ahsoka, and your brain's just kind of focused on the main story. But the more you think about, you know, those little things like that, were they
Yeah.
already dead?
Mhm.
Um, since it didn't make Star Wars list, my pick is what Dr. Hemlock could do to wipe out human mind. Oh, to wipe a human mind, memory, and all, program them to do one thing, just like he did with the CX clones. Every
Mhm.
Hemlock
He was
should have
creepy.
been one of the scariest creatures.
Yeah.
I think he was a
Yeah.
terrifying
Mhm.
um, bad guy. So that's a really
Yeah.
good shout, Imperial Activity. Super good
Mhm.
bad guy. We should probably do an episode of bad guys sometime
Yeah, we could
because
do
like there's
that.
a lot of stuff in um, the High Republic, and I know a lot of people aren't reading that and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't want to give too much away people who aren't reading and things like that. But the Nameless,
Yeah.
they do some things, and
Mhm.
when they're explaining what they're doing to the Jedi, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, it's some scary
it's
stuff.
it's like, you see your heroes in these, and you can imagine being in the galaxy where, this would be my, when you see a parent getting older or something like that, and because usually they're indestructible, and of course we all age and things like that. But like when you see your Jedi, like the Jedi have, they're mythical creatures that are right in front of you,
Mhm.
and they're getting just absolutely annihilated
Yeah.
by the Nameless. Um,
Mhm.
I think that in itself would be pretty scary. But if you haven't read the High Republic, it's worth it. Um, Especially this Phase 3, man. They have unleashed the Nameless on the Jedi, and just, I mean, you want to talk scary? Like this last book, The Tears of the Nameless. There's some creepy things in it. This was a good
Yeah.
scary journey, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only in phase 1 of the High Republic, but yeah, the Nameless, like, that's when you're talking about spooky stuff, that they definitely, they rank up there. Another thing, I don't know when that list that we just went over was made, but they completely left, and it might just be because they didn't want to, talk about it, but they completely left,
Chimera.
yeah, Chimere and, that I mean, the whole show.
This was
You know,
made October 31st, 2023, so that wouldn't have not been, because I mean that was the summer, and then
makes
the
sense
one
because there's
is
there's a
creepy
lot of
is
horror, yeah, a lot of horror elements in that show. I mean, the witches taking over Jedi's and when their eyes go black and, you know, completely under their control. That's kind of spooky. And like it's just that one scene of Chimere in the mask where he just kind of turns his head, it's just iconic horror,
yeah,
but
it's the Michael Myers head tilt.
yeah, exactly.
It's like the,
It's just like,
"Oh, what am I gonna do to you?" kind of
uh-huh.
thing. So, but then again, we talk about it. Oh yeah, Borgullet was on here. They didn't even put him on. Oh man, yeah, I was just, I'm kind of
Yeah.
reading that list. The creepiest creatures list was made in October 17th, 2022. So I mean, there's lots of time for,
hmm
they have missed probably right towards the end of Mando, season 3 coming
Yeah.
out probably. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the Acolyte would have been pretty good Halloween sort of spooky season
yeah, there's some
show.
scarier parts to that. I think
Mhm.
that whole Chimera just laying waste to Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's spooky, and then him just like tracking down May,
hmm
like going after her. I mean, that's like horror movie where she's running away, running away,
Yeah,
running away.
exactly.
So, but yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, and or there's nothing really too intense. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
the
it's
real
just
life. The
intense,
real
but
life
it's yeah,
aspect of it's pretty scary.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that can be anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be.
No,
Um,
all those people going to work every day, trudging away. That's scary.
yeah, for sure. All right, let me check Instagram here real quick. All right. But all right, Mike. So I think I'm trying to think of other scenes that scare me. Creatures. Oh, there we go. There's the wife. She tunes back in. That electric floor on Andor,
Oh, oh,
the
oh,
float
yeah.
ramp,
hmm
you know,
yeah.
and working barefoot. Yeah, I don't want anyone to see my
Mhm.
toes. So gross. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
No,
Um, Man. All right. So trying to think. Can you think of any other ones?
no, I think that covers it.
All right. I think we have another category or two.
Yeah.
I'm kind of running out of time. We got about 10 minutes left.
Okay. So what was our next category? Was it the Oh, I can't remember. Was it the dialogue one or
Yeah, things that scare you about Star Wars outside of the
Yeah.
Star Wars. So one of my folks were making these lists, and so one of my things that scare me in Star Wars was the dialogue of Attack of the Clones. I love you truly, madly, deeply in love with you. Um, so That was one of my scary moments is the dialogue for that. Um, Tahu says being electrified by the Emperor. Yeah, that would not be good. Force lightning cannot feel. It doesn't look like it tickles.
Yeah,
Ask
yeah.
Mace.
And heck, just the Emperor's look, like, ugh, would you, all the power that the Emperor gains, would you take that power to look like that, or would it be no way?
No.
Yeah, no way. But yeah, he's a creepy looking dude. He fits into the category of weird or scary creatures, and
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, being the last in the quota. So I guess there is some scary stuff. Oh, how about not being able to swim and being stuck in a big giant tower out in the middle of the
Mm.
lake? That'd be scary.
Yeah,
So, trying to think
that
what
hit
else is
really
there.
good. Let's see. Was there more dialogue that you wanted to go over?
I'm trying to think. Scary dialogue. Some of the stuff in Acolyte was a little wonky. Um,
Yeah,
it was mostly like the kids' delivery of it, and they're kids. I'm not going to sit there and bust on them.
yeah,
The Attack of Clones thing is supposed to be funny, but I mean, it is pretty scary. Like that's my
yeah.
that ranks like in the bottom two for me in Star Wars films.
Yeah,
So, and that's
yeah.
probably the reason why, because there's not much.
There's some
Like,
really bad.
and it's
Yeah.
so hard to watch some of it.
hmm No, I
Like,
just
just
pulled up.
so awkward.
Yeah, I pulled up a thing from Screen Rant. It's 10 quotes that are so bad they're good from Star Wars, and yeah, it seems to be full of stuff from Attack of the Clones. Like the first one on here, I'm haunted by the kiss you never should have given me.
Oh
Like,
god.
that's horrible. Or let me see, what's this one? Believe me, I wish that I could just wish away my feelings. Just terrible, terrible stuff. Some Jar Jar Binks lines. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, that it didn't do the. Probably should have hired some better writers for that movie.
Well, he was using all of his own money. He had a bunch
Yeah,
of yes men around him. He was the powerful, all-powerful George at that point.
yeah.
People were wanting to keep their jobs, I think. But yeah, some of the dialogue. Star Wars has a history of kind of weird dialogue, but I will say that Tahu likes "Wish Away My Feelings." We all, we've all been there though. We've all been like
Oh
teenagers.
yeah. God,
Um,
if I look back at things that I wrote to girls in middle school and stuff like that, oh, it's
would
cringy.
we would ridicule you.
Yes, for
So,
sure,
yeah, I
and
think we're
rightly
all in
so,
that
and
boat.
rightly so.
So, yeah. So I mean, I think that's it really for me as far as bad dialogue. There's some other things outside of Star Wars that bother me. So I'll let you start, Mike.
Well, what are we going into?
Let's just get into it. We only got a couple minutes left.
Okay, so let's see. We had the category of. Do we want to talk about the different decisions that Disney's made, or we
Sure.
just want to get right into? Yeah. So I mean, my biggest thing is the with Disney is them announcing shows and then they just kind of flitter off and you never get any kind of movement on them. It never goes anywhere. We've covered this
Hmm.
on different ones before too. Just the fact that don't tell me until you're going to make the show.
Yeah. No, that is a scary aspect of stars, and you brought that up, and I was like, yeah, because we wanted to have fun with this, but there are some things that bother us, and they're scary. And like Mike's got a good point. There's a lot of things that, I mean, we did that show a couple weeks ago, and we talked about all the projects and all the things that are
Hmm
just like floating around in the universe, and we have no idea what's going on. And you
hmm
can see, I mean, you can see why people are concerned about the franchise when it seems like it's kind of lost its way. And sometimes I wonder for myself, like reading the High Republic, I know the potential
Yeah.
is there for this beautifully done,
hmm
connected stories, and I'm like, it, it's not that hard if they can get. I mean, I know we have
Yeah.
some super talented writers, but
Yeah. It seems like why are you trying to reinvent the wheel when you have all this good writing already out there? you don't have to stray too far from it. You know what I mean? So
I
I mean,
think if
go
they
ahead.
made the High Republic into movies,
Hmm.
make the adult novels the movies, you make the YA books a TV show that goes in between them when they're filming. So you're filming,
Yeah.
because they use different characters that kind of cross over each other a little bit. I mean, this would be a
Hmm.
big Marvel 20
Yeah.
years or whatever, but goodness, I'm telling you, people would eat it up.
Hmm.
And that's
No,
what
I'm with
scares
you.
me too, is they're never gonna do that. They're never gonna bring this to
Yeah.
light, and it's gonna be not wasted on us people that read it, but it's just not enough people are gonna know about all these amazing characters out there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm reading that name, Tears of the Nameless, and fortunate for me, like we've had a couple of the authors on the show, so I'm like texting with Lydia Kang,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Did you know what he was gonna do to this character that you created in this?" She's like, "Well, I had heard," and she's like, "It was pretty sad." And so I was like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of fun, but um,
It's,
just messenger. So,
yeah,
but
it is honestly, it is sad how many people don't read. Like you don't, you kind of like we grew up with it. Like
yeah,
we
but
we've
it's a
we've
different time.
always been readers, right? So
Yeah,
it's weird to encounter people that don't read, but yeah, there's so much goodness in those books, and even like myself, like I'm reading the main novels, but I haven't even touched the YA novels, and I think a lot of people are like that too. That oh, it's a YA, I don't, that's not for me, and listening to you, just be reading everything. So
yeah, man, it's so good.
mhm.
That's another scary thing too, that the Drengir, these big terrifying
Yeah,
plant things that stick their fingers up your nose and they
mhm.
take over your brains. And I mean, that's
Yeah,
in the comics, that's in the books. Like the first YA novel, Out of the Shadows or Into the Darkness, I can't remember which one it is. I always get them confused. It's like this horror movie. They're on the Amaxine space station, and
mhm.
there's people are like disappearing and just getting like yanked, and no one can figure out what the hell's going on. I mean,
Yeah,
that would be there's your horror movie,
hmm,
and it's introducing these new concepts. The Drengir kind of go to the wayside pretty quickly in that storyline. A lot of it falls into the comics, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean that's scary stuff too.
hmm,
So,
yeah,
but yeah, back to your point, like stop getting our hopes up
hmm,
with this stuff. Just you know, it is
yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we came down on the side that Disney is doing a pretty good job, but there's definitely room for improvement, and that's one
Yeah,
of the biggest areas. Is just stop with the announcements if you're not going to do it.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, and my biggest, should I say my biggest fear? Am I allowed to say that now, or do I?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, our last category was just when Star Wars actually touches the real world. You know, that's the real world. We're adults. Puppets don't scare us. I think we've come down on the side that most of them are cool looking and funny, but not so scary. But when Star Wars touches the real world, that's where we get into the more frightening stuff. And Jimmy, you can take it away, buddy.
Toxic fan base. It's too, we've been, and I've said this since we were reviewing the Acolyte. Everything that surrounded the Acolyte, and I don't want to get political. That's not what our show's about. But people say that, I just felt like this was everything that was going on with the Acolyte felt like it was just a precursor to what's going to happen the next week in our country. I know
Yeah.
we're international, obviously, but Mike and I are both here in the States, and I know, like, some of the people listening, things like that. But um, the toxic fan base, I get it. You don't love what Disney's doing with Star Wars, so your option is to spread hate or just watch what you love. You
Hmm.
know, I don't go back and watch the Book of Boba Fett over and over again. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to also sit there and Mike, if you like the Book of Boba Fett, cool. Tell me why, so maybe I can like it
Right.
more.
Right.
More. I mean, there's parts of it I think are cool, but
Hmm.
you know, um, and then attacking people. We listen. Mike and I both listen to other podcasts because, like, we're inspired to do that, and we've been inspired by some of their stuffs. And Mike sent me the message of, like, Jennifer Landa from Force Center, and she talks. She's a Hispanic woman, and people just like crushing. You know what Star Wars was like for her as a kid, There
Mhm.
was nothing for her. No one looked like her. No one, and then of course she started slowly, Rogue One changes a lot. Um, and then you get the TV show Andor where you get Bix, and I know people like TR and things like that are um, really moved by having characters that look like them, and
Mhm.
then to want to take that away from other people, that scares me. That's where we're at in the Star Wars fan base, especially in a show that's all about like not giving into your anger and your hate.
Mhm.
That is the scariest part to me, that people are losing focus because it's not their Star Wars. There's things I don't like about Star Wars, but I'm not going to sit there and like, I was talking to you off air, and I'll never mention that on air, the
Mhm.
stuff we were talking about. But yeah, I was like, oh, but it's still one of the best things I've ever read. So,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, like you said, everyone is entitled to their opinion, and we can have these conversations, we can have these debates, but when it comes to finger pointing and name calling and things like that, bringing up things that have nothing to do with the actual problems that you have with things, that's the problem, is the division of, maybe you can't talk intelligently about something, so you're just going to point out, you know, the differences and focus on the hate and you know it's just maddening,
It's bad writing. What's bad about it? It's just dumb. That's
right.
like that guy who attacked us that one night on the Acolyte review
Yeah.
show, and
Uh-huh.
just was like challenging our sexuality because we like the
Mhm.
show. And I'm like, what
Right.
does us liking the
What
show
is
have
that?
to do with
Yeah.
this? I'm like, all three of us were dudes, married. Two of you got
Mhm.
kids. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm like, why are you mad at us? Why are you saying this
Right.
stuff? That's the scariest thing in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Imperial Activity says October 31st will be spent on Star Wars, listening to 1938 live radio drama. Orson Welles did The War Between
uh,
Worlds. Yeah, I mean that caused
that's a
panic
fun
when it
listen.
first
Yeah.
first was aired because people thought it was a real
Yeah.
radio
i
broadcast.
I remember listening to that when I was younger too, and just you could easily, like, it draws you in, it puts you in that situation where especially in a time where we did rely on radio and things like that for our information. There were still local radio stations that had local news. Like,
Yeah,
you still got like breaking news on the radio and stuff like that. So listening to that radio play, it sucks you in, it draws you in. You can definitely see where that could have led people down that path. But yeah, I mean that you know Star Wars talks a lot about how bad things, you know, how bad it is to have these toxic sort of people take over. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, they're not celebrating the empire. They're putting out there that having this sort of thing, going this route where we we don't have a discourse with one another. We don't talk to one another. We just, we're scared. It brings up all of our fears, and we trade away our liberties because we're scared of this and that. It leads us down this path towards tyranny. And yeah, I mean, these are the things that I don't get why. I don't get why we're not paying more attention to the bigger picture of it all, and just celebrating everybody's differences, and being. I mean, what you do, if it doesn't hurt me in any way, what am I worried about it for?
yeah. I mean, I get it. I mean, I can see why people can be upset about things like if you don't think a certain way, but there's no reason. It's difficult, man.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Difficult
That's what
thing
you.
because like you and I don't want to like our opinions. We know they're our opinions,
Hmm.
and they're not fact. They're our truth. But like
Hmm.
Ahmad Best said it really well. He was talking about like how come people like Star Wars fans all around the world like to dress up like Mandos and creatures and do all these different things, and then we can't celebrate those differences
Yeah.
in the real world. I mean, and that's the scary stuff where
Yeah.
people who are actively dressing up like characters and creatures and doing these different things, and then they're still, being
Challenging you
angry and
because you're
doing stuff.
different than what they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it is, and again, I don't want to get too crazy on this. That is some of the things that, Mike and I talked about and kind of morphed into this. And we didn't really even talk about it. We just kind of both were thinking it, I think. Like,
I
we were
think
kind of
so.
thinking outside the box where it's like, yeah, not a lot in Star Wars is that scary, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's more the outside parts of Star Wars recently that are scary,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think we've covered it without
Yeah, I
getting
think
too
so.
crazy and political and too
Mhm.
nuts on the show.
Yeah, I mean, the goal here is to have a little bit of diversion, There's a lot of
Yeah,
craziness going on in the world, and it's nice to come on here for an hour, hour and 15, whatever it might be, and, just share a love of the one thing. And thank goodness, I mean, all these people that are on here every night, having spending this time with us and watching it after the fact and whatnot, you're all so positive. Nobody's jumping on here and saying anything rude or obnoxious or anything like that. Everybody's positive, and we have a nice community here. It's a small community, but it's a good community, and hopefully we can continue to grow that.
yeah, for sure. So I think though, with our 13 scariest Star Wars scenes and our 20th creepiest Star Wars creatures, we've determined that Star Wars is really not that scary.
No, not really.
But there is room for it,
There
right?
is.
There is
Mhm.
room for it. So who knows what the future holds? Um, but yeah, any final thoughts, Mike?
No, we'll be back here again next week with some new topic, and next week is a very important day in this country,
Oh
and
gosh, yeah.
we may be looking for some diversion. So hopefully we can come up with something light and fun and just have a good time next
You
week.
don't want to do bad guys of the Star Wars universe? That no, no. Let's
That
do
could be light and fun. I don't know. We'll see what comes up.
yeah, we'll come up with something fun. So, fun times on. Yeah, thanks Imperial Activity. Thanks Tahu. Thanks everybody over there on Instagram. I'm sorry that it like lags and is crazy over there. Data Lauren, we appreciate you too for joining in there, and everyone. Nelly Cosplay, Clan Brandalorian, Grace Galls. What we got? We got Brett Voth, one of my former swimmers actually. We got Isaac and Brooke. Thank you guys all for joining us this
Thank you.
evening. For Mike and I both, have a safe and happy Halloween. I will let you know
Absolutely.
that the last time Mike and I went trick or treating, we were seniors in high school, and we used my little brother Teddy as our guinea pig. But we had the crap scared out of us. Do you remember that guy that was sitting on the porch?
Mm.
He was
Hmm.
like, he was sitting there, had like straw coming out of his stuff. And then he jumped and scared the crap out of us. But
Hmm.
yeah, so go trick or treat and have fun. Go all black weekend in England. Oh, you got some rugby going on this weekend.
Woo-woo.
Let's go Tahoo! So, but for all of us and for all of you guys and gals out there, we really appreciate, like Mike said, we have spoken. We will see you guys next week.
See ya.